Guys, I have vampires in the brain. Hello everyone. So, I recently finished a book, a very good book, by an author I admire quite fiercely, by the name of Stephen King. You may have heard of him, I don't know, he's gotten around. The book was called Salem's Lot. I didn't read any of Stephen King's novels for a very long time because I knew they would frighten me. I was frightened by Salem's Lot. Vampires have gotten a bad rap, particularly in the past couple years. One of the worst things that has ever happened to vampires is probably Twilight. I liked Twilight when I was 13, when I started reading the series. Granted, I was young and stupid, and I didn't know any better, but I know better now. Twilight ruined a lot of things, but it did not kill vampires for me. Twilight's not a stake, and as far as I'm concerned, vampires are still very interesting. I personally prefer the romantic version of things, but you know, that's just me. I like to follow the route that's less carnage and bloodthirst and killing people and more misunderstood beast, but, you know, that doesn't sell movies or books, so a lot of the times the carnage comes out. There's metaphors surrounding them. They're the darkness, they're the unknown, they're the evil wrapped in bright-colored paper that just invites you in. What I like the most about the vampire novels I read or the television shows or I watch is, which is completely different from Salem's Lot, is that there are evil vampires, there are evil forces, but then there's also good that can be substituted into that. In Salem's Lot, there's no real good to counteract the evil that is Barlow. He's just this force that's just completely evil, and there's nothing that compares with it. Barlow is an example of the vampire that's just a monster. There's no redemption for them, there's no nothing, all they care about is just killing and creating more vampires and spreading like a disease, spreading like a virus all throughout humanity. That's not the case in a majority of the vampire television or books that I read. So I've been watching a lot of Buffy lately, and it's just reminding all the things I liked about vampires. Alright, so Buffy, two of my favorite vampires from that show are obviously Angel and Spike. Personally, I'm an Angel fan, but that's just because he's got the whole, you know, brooding, tortured soul thing going for him. Everyone else likes Spike because he's witty and sarcastic and mean, but I like Angel. And then there's True Blood. There's the good and the bad. Good. Bill, well, that's questionable right now, but, you know, it is what it is. Eric. Ooh. And then there's the Russell Edgingtons and the Nan Flanagans, who's questionable. And in True Blood and Buffy, the good guys even have a tainted past. Like, Spike and Angel are no saints. Angel and Spike had both done horrible things. And same thing with Bill and Eric. They have past. But that doesn't mean they can't atone or try to atone for the things they've done and that they can't change. What I like about when vampires are humanized is they're not just creatures that are evil and just trying to destroy things. They have emotions, they have depth. And I think that's more interesting and more compelling because you're taking something that's predominantly evil and that has the capacity to be evil intrinsically, but it's attempting to fight that and it's attempting to do something good. And I think what makes them interesting and compelling is the fact that they have that duality inside them. Meanwhile, Stephen King's vampires, they're just completely evil and they have no sense of moral. And a majority of the time, they're compelled to be evil. And a lot of the vampires on Buffy, you know, deserve to be slayed. I'm more interested in the exceptions than the rules. The most interesting thing about vampires is they present this question of humanity and morals and right, good and bad. And I don't think we have to condemn vampire literature or television, and I proudly admit that I was obsessed with Buffy and Angel and True Blood and all these books because I think vampires are interesting. Their lore is interesting, and it's just, I think it's fascinating. So there it is, folks. My defense of vampires. Take it or leave it.